with all the spending going on in Washington these days, whether it's for stimulus or any other kind of thing, it's hard to imagine, regardless of your political persuasion, it's hard to imagine that we aren't potentially facing a tax increase on the horizon. Now, I'll raise your taxes is a really tough kind of slogan to use if you're wanting to get reelected. And so one of the areas where I think that we could see some change is in probably what is the politically the most easy place to raise taxes, and that's on dead people. The interesting thing about dead people, at least as far as we know, they can't vote. And so it is likely that if we start to see some tax bills come down from a legislative standpoint, that we will probably see some effort to make changes in the estate taxes. Right now, you can, each person is able to leave an estate of over $11 million without there being an estate tax. But there was a time not too long ago, in fact, I can tell you that in 1993, it was very much the case that the exemption, the amount that you could leave to anyone, was only $600,000. When my granddad passed away, one of the reasons that I became a financial advisor is because when my granddad passed away and left our family farm to my dad, he actually had to sell it in order to pay the death taxes. Back then, the exemption was only, or the exclusion was only $600,000. And so anything above that, you were required to pay estate taxes on. And so we literally lost the family farm in order to pay those. And I don't want to see that happen to you. Now, that may change, as we start to look at the changes. It would be likely, in my opinion, that what we would see is the exclusion amount come down. So instead of actually seeing the tax rate, the tax rate's about 40%. So it's relatively high as it is. They'll probably reduce the exclusion amount. That would be what I would expect. And I think that's an area where, for a lot of our clients, we just have to pay attention and make sure that your estate plan is taking care of that. In a lot of plans, there is a formula included. So it's not a fixed dollar amount for how you might divide an estate among spouses, let's say. Lots of particulars there, but I want you to be aware of the fact that when we look at potential changes, one of the things that we're being most aware of is the potential for a change in the estate tax. We want to make sure that we're being aware of that. If you haven't taken a look at your estate plan in the last 3 years or so, this would be a good time for you to get up with your financial advisor and to let us take a look and see if there's anything we'd suggest you have a conversation with an estate planning attorney or your lawyer about. Just take some time, give that some thought as to whether or not, kind of when the last time you looked at that was, because, again, as we start to try to figure out some of the deficit and some of the ways that we're going to accomplish that, I think one of the easiest ways for lawmakers to try to attack their problem is to come after and want to levy taxes on those who have accumulated money. And our job is not to promote tax evasion. The difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance is 15 years. But just want to make sure that your plan is in place to make sure that we're protecting you and your family, quite frankly, so that you don't have some of the things befall you that happened years and years ago to my family. Look forward to seeing you again in our next video. But if you need anything in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out.